EverQuest Legends open beta is just starting up and people will be jumping into a 27-year-old game with a brand new paint job on it. But choosing your first trio is tough. And in this video, we're going to break down all the classes so you have a base understanding of the newer spells and abilities added to EverQuest Legends. Now, I'm not going to tell you what the best trio is. Rather, I'm going to teach you about what is on offer so you can make the best trio for you. In my typical fashion of upfronting the knowledge in my videos, let me say this. Please just choose whatever the hell you want. The only thing that's permanent is your primary class. But that can be swapped out once you hit level 50 anyway. So just go with your 3 favorite classes. Screw everything else. Don't like your secondary or your tertiary classes? Just swap them. There's no penalty for doing it. Don't like your race selection you've chosen? Do the achievement and just swap that as well. I'm going to give you the tools to help you in your theory crafting, but ultimately it comes down to you. I'm going to be playing Paladin, Shaman, Berserker because that's what I was looking for. But every trio can clear all content in the game. Just depends on how good you are and how difficult the content is. But if that's all you want to know, please feel free to shut the video down. I want to be respectful of your time. You can find all of the infographics that I'm going to be using in this video in the description below. Just go ahead and look at those. But before we talk classes, we need to talk about invocations and stances first. So let's get started. So to start us off, I'm going to show you the EQL wiki right here. And it's in beta, things are in works, but stances and invocations are a very big portion of this game. Every single class is going to afford you some stances and some are going to afford you invocations. Stances are more focused towards melee, invocations are more focused towards casting, but not mutually exclusive. So these stances here, like balanced, berserker, channeler, defensive, evasive, mage hunter, offensive, ranged, striker, they're all going to be relegated to certain classes. You can find that on the right over here. I don't want to go through every single thing here. I'm going to be calling them out within the video, but I just want to give you a quick primer on them. Like offensive here, it increases your melee damage by 100% and your chance to hit by 25%. Berserker is really good because it just simply doubles the rate at which you attack. Not your haste, but doubles the rate at which you attack. It's great. It also will suffer from, it'll pull from your endurance, but only the Berserker can use it. Channeler, all incoming damage reduced by 40% and your chance to successfully channel is increased. So it allows you to cast spells in the middle of combat. Defensive just reduces damage by 50%. Mage Hunter reduces magic damage by 50%. These have been increased and changed over time. So defensive is actually increases melee damage by 50% and magic damage by 20%. And Mage Hunter is spell damage by 50% and melee damage by 20%. So there are those things. Or evasive here is 95% chance to evade all incoming attacks. So all these are really great. Those are your stances, but they focus more on melee. Now your invocations are really cool here. Invocations, again, are going to be focusing more on casting. And they're pretty cool. So for example here, Divine allows you to, anytime, if you have this activated, anytime you cast a spell, it will use 100% of the mana spent to cast that spell to heal the lowest per health player in the party. But for each wisdom class you have, that could increase by 33%. So if you are 3 wisdom classes, whenever you cast a spell, you heal another player for 166% of the mana that it took to cast that spell. It's really cool. But there's other ones in here too, like Empower, which just increases the damage of damage spells or the healing from spells. Inversion, which allows you to basically instant cast spells, so shifts 2/3 of the spell cast time into the global recovery time and 20% of the mana into endurance cost. So doing this enables you to cast a spell almost immediately, but it causes a longer global recovery before you can cast a spell again. Really, really cool. Or Inviolable allows you to make it so you cannot be interrupted. Overchannel will help it so that you can actually reduce the resistance of a target. Recovery allows you to regenerate your mana while in combat where you typically would not be able to, and it reduces spell cost damage by, spell costs by 5%. And Spellblade is a big one here. I'm going to be referencing this a lot in the video. So it treats the first spell gem slot, so basically your first spell slot on your bar, as a proc, meaning that 40% of the spell's mana cost is paid as mana and endurance, and the spell will then be cast. So it will cast that spell for you. So let's say, for example, here, this is relegated to Beast Lord, Paladin, Ranger, and Shadow Knight, your knights more or less, plus Beast Lord. If I have Spellblade for Ice Comet, a really strong wizard spell, then it will then cast that spell at a percent chance of proccing. So it'll proc, boom, it throws an ice comment at someone and I just keep attacking stuff. You can only have one stance and one invocation active at once. I wanted to talk about this before we get into everything because it is important to understand. It's like the baseline of why everything is so strong in this game. Before we actually jump into all the classes, I'm going to put this link in the description below. This is the combo builder that's kind of been going around. You can browse all the combos like this, and you can see, hey, what's the highest combo? Right now, it's a monk, necromancer, shaman, by whatever that score means. So it's also based off of the playstyle and difficulty. So if I go all the way to D4, the hardest difficulty, cleric, shadow knight, and shaman is technically, quote unquote, the best. But there's no real metric for this. This is not really anything to truly base your decision on. It's a way to get an idea of certain things that will stand out for you. I wanted to talk about this because it's something you will be able to find very easily and people will reference it. It is not creed. It is not dogma. Don't apply this to yours thinking that, hey, I'm going to go with a berserker, ranger, wizard, and it's just going to be terrible. Nope, it's not. As long as you know how to play the class, you'll be fine. It is true, though, in D3 and D4, you will suffer because you need more sustain. That is a big thing. You need to be able to heal yourself. So you'll have a harder time in those difficulties. But you simply just, let's go ahead and look at, what do we do? What is this? Berserker, ranger, wizard. Let's just drop this all the way down. I don't know if it'll say highlighted. Well, I can make it up here. Berserker, ranger. I wish this was alphabetical. And wizard. You can see that this has got now a 27 or an 89. It doesn't really matter. Just ignore those things. Play what the hell you want. I promise it's going to be all right. And if you don't like anything, you just simply swap it. But this is something that's been making the rounds. These difficulty things, you'll probably only be hanging out in D0 and D1 for the beginning of beta anyway. So don't worry too much about it. This is more of like a min-maxy type of thing. Now, before we talk about our classes here, let me just very quickly explain the trio system. Slot 1 is your primary, slot 2 is your secondary, slot 3 is your tertiary. You will select your primary on character creation. It is any one of the classes. It does not matter. Remember though, your race will restrict these options. So if you want to play a paladin, but you want to be an ogre, then paladin needs to be your secondary or tertiary. So for example, here we're just going to press paladin. So I now have my primary set to paladin. Then for your secondary, you'll get access to this thing as like level 5 or 6. You'll get your tertiary at level 10. At level 11, the game will ask you, do you want to lock your primary in? You'll say yes, and then you'll level up to level 11. You cannot change your primary until level 50. So then you'll choose, let's just say bard and rogue. I'm just choosing things blindly. And that is your class setup. You can swap these out at any time you so wish. And anything that any one of these classes gives you by default is what you have in the kit. So monk, everything monk gives that you know is in your trio now. Okay, well, what if I want to put in bard? Everything you know about bard is in this trio. There's nothing that gets skipped because of this trio system. It's literally 3 carbon copies of those classes make up your trio. Now, this is also true of all the stances and invocations that we talked about. So as you go through this video, you'll see the infographics, and the infographics will show stances and invocations. Those mean that that class brings those. Other classes will bring other ones, but they'll all mix together. You'll basically get access to almost all of them. So to start us off, we're going to go into the priest classes. Now, I used AI to generate this infographic, but I gave it every single thing to generate, so don't worry about that. I know it's going to look AI generated. I am a classically trained, like I went to Juilliard. I'm a fucking graphic designer, but I just didn't want to make the infographic because laziness. So here we have cleric, shaman, druid. Those are our 3 priest classes, the classes that focus on healing and buffing with a lot of other things attached to them. So with the cleric, we get one of the most powerful abilities in the game, promised renewal. This will give you, after 12 seconds, you cast it, wait 12 seconds, it does a 5,000 hit point heal. It used to be 6K, they just nerfed it slightly. And it is a very good sustain capability. Cleric is probably my favorite priest class next to shaman right now. And I really wrestled with which one to choose. They have strong group healing with a heal over time as well. They also have a heal over time that is a small amount of health and then a big, I'm sorry. They have a heal over time that is a big amount of health followed by a small amount of health. So it's like direct heal plus 24 seconds worth of smaller heals. They have heavy crowd control in the form of stuns. They also give invulnerability shields for themselves or an individual group member. Then they have the best hit point and AC buffs in the game. They also, unique to this, get damage shield access at level 50. So they actually have a damage shield, which is unique to EverQuest Legends and now to the Cleric. So that is the focus here. They also do a lot of damage towards undead targets. They can do damage over time to undead targets. So Cleric delivers lots of undead gameplay, and you'll be sticking around undead dungeons to get the most out of it. But you also get the best single target heals of any of the priests in the game. So that's worth noting with the Cleric. These are the invocations they get access to. The big standout one here is Divine, because remember how I said that's going to help you increase your healing to the party because of how it works. And they'll get access to Channeler. Everyone, Invocation and Stances is the same here, and they all share wisdom casting. Now the Shaman is different than the Cleric. It, I would say, has the weakest heals of the three healers, but it has a different way of healing. They have slow, which is a really good debuff. It is a DPS mitigation because it reduces the rate at which things can attack you. This allows for lots of survivability. They also have some of the best utility buffing in the game here. What does that mean? It means that we're going to be looking at stat buffs across strength, dexterity. They can do run speed. They have a haste buff. A lot of really good buffing. The best buffing comes from the Shaman. Now, they also now have a very strong heal over time. They have regeneration, and then Druid gets chloroplast, but Shaman gets this new heal over time that's unique to EQL that does a large amount of healing over time, more than the other two priests, but it comes at a debuff. It'll either snare you or slow you, which is substantial. So to slow will drop your haste to 100 and then slow you further. So just know that. They also are the only priest class that gets a solid summon in the Wolf Pet that can also slow enemies. That Wolf Pet is a Shaman, which is really cool. They have strong damage over time and snare abilities. And again, like I said, that stat line buff across strength, dex, and agility. They also get something called a Blessing of the Puma, which basically when you cast it on yourself, it will do, I think it's 124 damage every time you hit, which is pretty good. The Cleric's damage shield is, I want to say 215, 220 hit points. So they kind of edge out on the amount of damage that it helps deliver, but it is really good for any other class. Now, Druid here, on the other hand, has a different heal over time. They have heal over time with small ticks, then a big burst. They have the best damage shields in the game. They have AC, hit point, and stat line buffs as well, just like the other ones, but just maybe to a lesser magnitude. They get tree form and a wolf form for both mobility. Well, wolf form for mobility, or mobility here, right? They also get access to ports. Now, you see how I put rituals there in parentheses? Ports are now ritual spells. So if I get a Druid to level 50, I can access the teleports from Druid on any trio. So if you level Druid to 40 first, then you can now port across Druid circles on any trio that you play, even if the Druid's not there. It's great. They also have substantially good AoE damage, which is better than it is for most priests. So they actually have access to elemental direct damage spells and elemental AoE spells, which really make them stand out. And one closing thing here on the priests. Druids have access to cloth and leather. Shamans have access to cloth, leather, and chainmail. And then clerics have access to cloth, leather, chainmail, and plate. So that's worth noting when you choose a trio. Let's say you chose a cleric with a beast lord and a monk. Well, those latter two don't get access to plate. Cleric does. So this grants you plate to the entire trio, which is definitely worth keeping in mind. Let's move on to Knight now. So with the Knight, we have access to higher armor class, typically damage profile that falls into the two-handed weapon variety, kind of split in half here. I'm including Ranger in this list. Sometimes people don't consider Rangers Knights, but they do have a Taunt and Intimidate. So I'm putting them into the Knight classes for, it's honestly to make Melee DPS a smaller one, because Melee DPS is larger. So what do we get? So for Paladin, we have the more defensive of the Knights. We have strong heals. In fact, they have some of the better heals in the game. Their heals are like right behind a cleric, really. Like they are oftentimes like 2 levels after some of the other priests. They're quite good. They get cleric level AC and HP buffs. They do lots of damage towards undead, including they have the cleric damage to undead spells, but they have their own paladin unique damage to undead proc spells, meaning that you cast it, it's now on your weapon, and the weapon will proc and do damage to undead. They get this new ability called Smite, and Shadow Knight gets Reeve, which we'll talk about again in a second here. But Smite has an ability, well, it will go off, and when it goes off, it will reduce the cooldown of Lay on Hands. Lay on Hands is a 100% heal. It typically has a 20-minute cooldown. When Smite triggers, it takes 1 minute off of the cooldown of Lay on Hands. So this basically makes Lay on Hands from a 20-minute cooldown to every 1 or 2 fight cooldown, which is really good. They have some of the best 2-handed weapon choices from quests in the game. They get an invulnerable at level 50. They get access to a haste spell at level 44, and then a heal over time at 46. They also get access to a unique paladin mount, 2 unique ones. I think it's like level 20 and 40, or that's 20 or 40, 20 and 40, the 2 different mounts. And then they also have high proc damage towards undead, like I talked about. Their invocations are quite a lot, but what's important to note here is that Paladin, Shadow Knight, and Warrior get access to defensive. This says defensive. It should not say defensive. I don't know why it does. It should say evasive, because Ranger does not get defensive as a stance, but defensive is massive. You go into defensive stance and things just can't kill you. And if you have priest in there, you can just heal yourself up to full, pop out of defensive stance to go do some damage. Now, Shadow Knight, on the other hand, is more offensive than your Paladin. You're going to get Vampiric Embrace, which is a kind of like, so if Paladin has a proc that does damage to undead, Vampiric Embrace will do damage to anyone, but is a life leech, so it will return health to you. They can use the empowering invocation here to further increase the amount of damage and health that comes back from this. It's quite good. So Shadow Knight gets Harm Touch, which we can do anywhere from 10 to 25% damage, depending on if you're in that overpower stance, invocation, and if you're critting. That it can do quite a bit. And you'll use Reeve as an additional proc mechanic to reduce the cooldown on Harm Touch. They get a Feign Death, which allows them just to appear dead so people will stop attacking them. They get a life tap line of spells from the Necromancer, not as good. Honestly, they're quite weak right now, the life tap spells, but they are there. Ignore these 2 right here that say it has access to haste and high proc damage towards undead. That high proc damage towards undead needs to come from something else. They don't have just outright undead damage. That I told it to remove those 2 and it did not. Access to a unique mount for Shadow Knight, again at level 20 and at level 40. They have access to a pet as well. The pet is a little skeleton. It's not that good. I'll be totally honest, it's not great, but it does. It is a Shadow Knight and it is a warrior, which is really cool. And they have just really cool drip. I love Shadow Knight weapons. They're really cool. And Shadow Knight races, like Dark Elf is like one of my favorite races in the game. They're so cool looking. So that is your Shadow Knight. And in my honest opinion, I think right now the Paladin's a little bit stronger than the Shadow Knight, but the Shadow Knight has a lot of really good legs when you couple it with a lot of really other fun trios. Our Ranger here is going to be bringing Druid level buffs and heals, Spirit of the Wolf as well for really good movement. They bring Dual Wield, which is our only Dual Wield Knight aside from the Warrior, and they also give access to triple attack, which is quite good. They also have an AA, an alternate advancement, which gives you 107 total attack rating at 50. It goes a little bit over time. It's every 2 levels, it'll give you some attack rating, so it's quite good. They have the strongest range play in the game via a ranged stance, so they can do lots of just bow and arrow range damage. They also get a new spell called Force of Nature, which is a unique damage shield, hit point, and endurance regen. It's really, really good. They also get a bunch of damage shields that are unique to Ranger that are permanent. So they're very cool, and you can just cast these and have a lot of damage reactively doing damage for you. Now, lastly, we have the Warrior, which also has triple strike and dual wield, but it has this ability called Cleave. So every swing you do does damage around you. So it's an area of effect melee capability that's quite good. It's really, really cool to just pop in defensive stance and cleave things down. They also have a very high health pool, and they get Burst of Power, which gives triple strike and a chance to if this procs, triple strike will then do 5 swings. It's really, really nice. And some really good AAs as well. They get Heroic Leap, which is really good. So they have a lot of really strong AAs to really augment Warrior, which is oftentimes considered a very bare bones class, but it's still very good. And they've made it even better here in EQL. Now for casters, we get something unique here. Now this is something I want to talk about when it comes to pets, because we'll be talking about pets for almost all of this. Pets have their own inventory, so you can actually give pets items, and if the pet dies, they retain their items. So they just simply, you summon them again and they're good to go. Now, choosing pet classes in your trio unlocks more pet slots, and that rate depends on the pet class. So Necromancer will add a certain amount of slots, Magician and Enchanter will all add a certain amount of slots. So Magician and Beast Lord, which is not on this list, gives you 3 additional slots. So if you were to go to Magician, Warrior, Beast Lord, your 4 plus 3 plus 3 would be 10 slots for your pet's inventory. Necromancer gives us plus 2 slots, and then Enchanter, Druid, and Shaman give us plus 1 slots. Shadow Knight does not add anything, even though it is also loosely a pet class. That's worth noting, though, before we get into the casters as a whole. Now, Wizard here is very direct. There's no real like kind of mystery here, and they're all intelligence casters, which is worth noting. Wizard has the highest direct damage spells in the game. They have Ice Comet, which is a real standout spell. They have AoE spells, which are really great. They get these 2 new ones called Mana Ignition and Mana Detonation, which are area of effect pushbacks, which are really cool, AoE. They get a Spell Shield Absorption with Ward of Caldrana. I think it's Caldrana, actually. They have an Interruption Immunity Invocation here with Inviolable, so they will not be interrupted while casting. The biggest thing that Wizard does, also they have access to teleports. It's not on this list, but they have teleports, just like the Druid does, in the same way that they're rituals. So unlocking them then gives you access to them any other trio that you want to play. So if I play a Paladin, Warrior, Monk, or whatever, I don't even need to take my Wizard to 50 and still get any one of those ones I've unlocked accessible on any other trio. The biggest thing with Wizard is that you're giving access to Spellblade to anything that can use Spellblade. Wizard spells in the Spellblade slot are very strong and can do a lot of damage. Ice Comet is a spell that can be in the Spellblade, and that's one of the strongest Wizard spells. So you get this ability to basically drop an Ice Comet on someone as a Paladin, as a Necro, or as a Shadow Knight, as a Warrior. So it's a really great way to do lots of damage. Magician here is your best pet class in the game, and they've got a bunch of different pets that are different elementals. And in this game, pets are dual class. Every single pet is a warrior and something else. So whenever I say that, hey, this earth pet is a ranger, it's a ranger and a warrior for the rest of the video. So pets are earth is a ranger, air is a monk, water is a rogue, meaning you can also backstab, and fire is a wizard. And then a warrior for all of those, right? So you have a lot of really fun pets that you can access with the Magician, and pets keep getting more and more buffs. So I expect pets to be a lot more impressive by the time the game goes live. They have strong fire and magic damage specific AoE and direct damage spells. They got a spell reflect and one called bounce. They also have the second best damage shields, although they are a little bit shorter of a duration. They could get good pet buffs and pet focus utility they can just summon up items for their pets to use, which is quite nice. Item and summoning in general with the Magician is really cool. So if you like pet classes, Magician is definitely the focus. Now, Necromancer is also a pet class, but not as good as the Magician. The Necromancer pet is a Shadow Knight, which is really cool, but they're not as strong, they're not as high leveled, they typically die very easily. You do, though, have a lot of tools at your disposal with the Necromancer. You have the best life taps in the game, you have strong disease and poison dot and direct damage spells. You also get full undead control. Almost no other class can actually directly control undead, meaning they can't stun them or fear them, but Necromancer can. It can stun, fear, charm, and even invis against undead, which is really nice. They also get the special Lich line, which gives her faster mana regen with life tap. So you can just kind of create this, it's a faster mana regen, but with life tap, you can make it so you're constantly recovering health that you are converting into mana with that Lich line. And you can also, of course, just buff your pet. Necromancer has some buffs too, like Grim Aura, which is cool. And I think they get Vampiric Embrace as well. Don't quote me on that. I can't remember. I don't think they do, actually. Sorry, I'm just thinking of Grim Aura, which is cool and all, but Necromancer, its biggest focus is in those damage over time capabilities, and you further augment them with AAs to then critical hit and do a lot of damage. Now, lastly, we have the Enchanter. And the Enchanter, I think, of all the classes, sockets into any trio amazingly because it has the best crowd control in the game. It allows you to deal with any content no problem at all because they can stun, charm, and calm everything. Calming things allows you to reduce the aggro range of that monster. So you can walk into a room, only pull one or two things rather than the whole entire room. You can stun the things you're dealing with because I think that their stun can actually be used as a spell blade, which is really strong. Their pet is a paladin, so if you level up a paladin and you want to make an enchanter now, you can use your paladin stuff on that pet, which is really cool. They have illusions, so if you're playing an ogre, you can go to the high elf location because you can illusion yourself away. This helps you do all of your mini quests and achievements to unlock other races if you wish. They have a haste capability. They have a clarity, which is your best mana regen buff. Their charm is again super strong because creatures in this game can be single class, duo class, or even trio much later into the game and higher difficulties in the planes. If you charm that class is now going to all do its things. So if you charmed a bard shaman, then that bard shaman will buff and play songs. It's really damn good. They have decent direct damage, but that's not really their focus here. Their biggest thing is crowd control. That is the name of the game with the enchanter, and it allows for a lot of gameplay into everything else. All right, and here it is. Here's the biggest one, right? It's melee classes. I originally had this as melee DPS, but you know what? Whatever. And each one of these brings a different thing to the table, and each one of them just goes so well into a lot of combinations. We'll start with the Bard. Bard was my main when I played EverQuest, when I played on a TLP. It used to be my very first character I ever played was a Paladin, then I made a Druid, then I made a Necromancer. I've been all over the place. But Bard is amazing. It is a charisma-focused support class, more or less. And in default EverQuest, you can use Melody, and Melody will twist 4 songs of your choosing. Well, in EQL, you have a Symphony AA. It's like Symphonic Aura, I believe is what it's called. And it allows you to twist at level 50, or at max rank, which is at 50, up to 5 songs. So your total is 9 songs that you're twisting on Bard. That is really strong. You can add more spell gems. You can have, I think it's 14 total. So you'd have 9 of them as your songs, and then you'd have 5 more as whatever you want. But the symphony specific songs can only be self buff, well, non-damage, non-cooldown, non-mana costing songs. So pretty much just self buff songs, which is nice. You put your self buffs in the symphony, the melody is all your direct damage ones, you go to fucking town. You get dual wield, full access to dual wield on the trio. The Bard also has plate mail, which is really nice. They've got track, they've got high, they've got race illusions, just like the enchanter. They have attack speed and attack damage buffs. They got healing and mana regen songs. They have the fastest run speed buffs in the game as they scale up. And they also have direct damage songs, so they can help augment the amount of damage that they can do. They are, though, a little bit lower on the durability side as compared to the other DPS classes, probably tied for Rogue on the lowest, but that is your Bard. It sockets very well into things and offers a lot of things. It's a big toolkit to play a lot of different ways. Beast Lord here is basically playing a monk and a shaman put together. So you're going to get your shaman style of stat buffs, strength, dex, AC, auxiliary, AC, yeah, AC. You get debuffs as well. You get a slow, which is really good. We talked about that, but agility, strength, and AC drains, which are great. They also get haste and regen unlocked later in the game as well. Like Beast Lord crack is a big thing later in the expansions, because we're getting Kunark before the end of the year, so we'll get access to that eventually. They have the second best pet in the game behind the Magician. Their full monk style kit, it gives them lots of combat moves, which is really good. And they also get access to dual wield. The Beast Sword is getting stronger and stronger with every single patch, and it just got another patch to change the pet from a Berserker to a Beast Lord. So it's a Beast Lord warrior. It's quite good now. The Rogue is amazing. And I think the Rogue was always lackluster in EverQuest at a standard level. But now you can have up to 4 active poisons. And the poisons are really good. They basically, you turn them on like abilities, but the poisons have a crap ton of utility. They can root, they can snare, they can fear, they can do direct damage, they can do damage over time, they can life tap. There's so many things that the poisons can do, and if you combo a rogue with a bard and then just something else, like let's just say a paladin, you just get so much disgusting utility. They can backstab from behind as default, but they get an AA that allows you to front backstab, which is an oxymoron, but you can do it. So you stand in front of something and you can get the backstab damage. And what you do is, let's say you're playing a paladin, you put your dagger in an any slot. Any slots are new ones for the EQL. So you can use any item in any slot. You can use any item in the any slot. You get 2 any slots. So you put the dagger there and then you just still backstab with a 2-handed sword. It's sick. Striker Stance 2 is going to further amplify that burst damage. And then also they get dual wield access. So it's going to give dual wield access to the entire trio. Next up is Monk. I'm not going to lie to you. I have never really played a Monk a lot. I know what they're going to give, but I can't give you concrete information. I just want to be 100% transparent about it. I'm going to give you a link to a YouTuber who has great videos that break down every single one of these classes from level 50 that he's played. And he gives really good information, about 10, 12-minute videos each. So it's easy to jump into. The Monk, though, is going to give an improved mend, so it's an even better mend than before. So mid-combat heal after, I think it's, I don't remember the cooldown, I think it's like 45 seconds or something. They also have really good, they do not get a Berserker Stance, ignore that. Their combat abilities benefit from Striker Stance. That's what I wanted to see. They also get a strong area of effect combat abilities, like their round kick is really good, especially coupled with Warrior's Cleave. They get a Feign Death, which is really good too. Again, we talked about it with the Shadow Knight. They get access to triple attack and a dual wield. So it's already a strong class, but it just got even stronger with EverQuest Legends. Lastly, we have the Berserker, which is my go-to of this melee class, like kind of dip. Berserker Stance just straight up doubles your swing speed. It doesn't double your haste. If your haste is capped at 175%, which is what the cap is, it just takes that and just doubles the rate at which you swing. Does not matter. It does not like a haste buff or anything. It just doubles it. They get a triple attack as well at 46, but their triple attack can get augmented by burst of power, which I talked about with the warrior, which makes it have a chance to swing up to 5 times in one round. It's a lot of damage. They get frenzy, which for me personally, frenzy seems like a minor kind of damage buff, but it's there. Berserker doesn't get exclusive access to this. Anyone who can use 2-handed weapons gets access to this. I'm sorry, anyone who has bash gets access to this. So why I like Berserker with my paladin is I can use improve bash. It allows me to use a 2-handed weapon to then bash, and then I get the Berserker speed to give me just a ton of nice sustained DPS. If Rogue is a bursty DPS playstyle, the Berserker is just much better of a sustained template. But there is no dual wield, so you'll have to pull in dual wield from something else if you want dual wield Berserker Stance. That is worth noting, and it is important. So to close us out, let's, whoops, didn't mean to do that. Back to the builder. Let's just talk about some strong, not necessarily strong trios, but combos that synergize really well. And I think the real easy way to do it is by break everything out. We talked about caster and melee DPS, put them in their own category together. Just call it DPS. And we talked about knights and priests. If you simply take the formula of taking 1 knight, 1 priest, 1 DPS, no matter what combo you do, it'll be strong. I promise. It'll be strong enough to do D2, maybe D3, depending on which combo you take. So for example here, Paladin, Paladin, and where is Shaman and Berserker. That's what I'm gonna do. It gives it a really high rating here. I didn't choose it because of that, because this is kind of, again, it's kind of a nothing burger. Just ignore it. But Paladin's gonna give me all its cool undead damage capabilities. I get a smite that helps me with my lay on hands for 100% heal. Shaman to slow things down. Really good stat buffs to increase my dexterity to trigger the procs of Paladin. And then Berserker to help with the speed of my 2-handed weapon by giving me Berserker Stance so that I can then trigger everything even faster. That's a really cool combo. But maybe, you know what? I was playing, I got this all the way to 50. Was this combo? And it was really, really good. I just wanted the Paladin kit instead. But that's kind of a really good rule of thumb, you know, like you can do something like that. And another one I've been kind of workshopping too is this. I mean, yeah, I'll probably put Shaman instead. I get a lot of Druid priest abilities. I get the Shaman buffs, and I get the Paladin cleric buffs. So I basically get all 3 priest buffs to varying degrees. I get the ranger's attack rating bonus, which is really huge, so it allows me to accurately hit. I also get the ranger's ability to do what's called strike through. I forgot to talk about this, but strike through will just completely bypass the defenses of a target, and it scales out every couple of levels. I get strong damage shields, all the cool things that ranger has access to. What does this say? It says it's like a class rating elite, but it just says its meta rating is strong. You know, like, this is what I mean. Ignore these things. This can still be a lot of fun. Other really fun combinations, though, can be like, remember we said just any other DPS? We can throw just a wizard into here. And this is really, really strong. See, expert and solid, stuff like that. But if we swap out two and do rogue, we have all the durability of paladin. We have some of the sustain that rogue gives, but we still have a lot of paladin heals, right? And then a lot of DPS on spellblade for wizard. We have a lot of fun that we can do with this. So these are just to kind of give you an idea of how to play around with these things. One of the strongest it's kind of like an auto attack build is you just do bard, warrior, and rogue or monk. Where is bard? I've gone over like 4 times. Yeah, you pretty much just press auto attack and the game just kills itself, right? Bard's doing all your sing damage, rogue's got all your poisons, and warrior is just an auto attack bot. So that's what you do. Or you can swap to monk and use a couple abilities. So this gives you an idea of how these combos synergize. If you wanted to even, dude, if you wanted to do this is all DPS. You have the strongest DD spells in the game, you have the strongest disease and life taps in the game, and you have the strongest crowd control. This works. It's just fine. What does it give it? I don't know, a solid and a solid? Who the fuck cares? Play the game how you want, and this should hopefully give you an idea of how these can really work out to your advantage. But go ahead and let me know, what trio are you going to be playing in EverQuest Legends? Mine's Paladin, Berserker, Shaman, but I want to know what you're working with, and it'll probably kick around in your head for the next month. I promise you, it's the one thing that I spend the most time doing now is just worrying about which trio I have, and every day I'm like, maybe I go with this trio, maybe I go with that trio, maybe I do this trio, whatever it is. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching here today. If you ended up enjoying this video, please don't forget to like, comment, or subscribe. Each one of those things really just helps me out in a huge way. Also, check me out on Discord below, where you can find updates on anytime I go live, anytime I put up a new video, and anytime I do a content poll. I'm not going to do a ton of EverQuest Legends content, but I will be playing the hell out of this game, and I'm really excited for the launch come July 28th. But as always, have a good one and take care.